Hello and welcome back to the channel. So just a very quick update video today, which I'm shooting on my phone, so forgive the perhaps slightly lower quality, but I thought it might be useful and instructive just to show all of you something of the inner workings of the sim in case you're looking to build your own sim and you're looking to do something relatively straightforward and simple like I have. There's probably some clues to be gathered from the way that I've done it. So, as you can see, the console itself has been stripped down and I've taken off the main instrument panel and the screens, etc. So if we look down here, you can see these are some of the screens. This is the monitor that normally sits at 45 degrees in the middle, and would, for example, have weather radar on or something like that. This is a gaming monitor. I think I've mentioned these on the channel before. Let me put that one down and get this one up, which is a little bit easier to handle. This is the monitor that's normally in the center and oriented this way of the instrument panel. Again, it's a USB gaming monitor. You can see it's very thin, very light. It's got HDMI in, USB in, and it gets the power from the USB and the video signal either from the HDMI or from USB-C. So we've got a few of those floating around. There's a couple more actually stacked on top of the printer over there. You might be able to see. Those are the two that I would have in place when I'm not using the G1000. Speaking of the G1000, here are the G1000 units. In the adapters that I mentioned to you. So they're just little wooden adapters that let them slot into the space available on the main instrument panel. And speaking of the main instrument panel, here it is. It's off at the moment, as you can see, and I'm doing some work on it, particularly repairing these little panels. So I've taken all the electronics out of it and I'm going to redo those and mount them slightly better. And this audio panel I'm going to relabel and refit the audio plugs into there so that they are a better fit than they currently are. That's my throttle quadrant box. I'm not doing anything to that in this update, so I'm leaving it off to one side. The chair, etc., have been moved out of the room. You can see a PC there. That's the main host PC that would normally sit, it sits where it's sitting right now. So, but it sits behind the screen and it's generally not particularly visible. And then the image generator PC would sit off to the side there underneath that monitor. However, I've taken it out of the room again. As you can see, the cables are a real mess. And one of the things I'm going to do today is actually take out all the cables and rerun and redo all the cabling. If we get a little bit nearer in. There's the PFC yoke, which I've done some adaptation of. I've taken the mechanism out of the big box it comes in, and that's how it's mounted behind the panel there. That sort of shelf, I put that in recently so I can mount a desktop monitor bracket to it for when I want to just pop a desktop monitor in and I'm not using the big screen for something that I'm really not allowed to talk about on the video, so I'm afraid I can't. Elgato Stream Deck over there, which I use for controlling OBS when I'm making videos. That's just the surround for the monitor. Yes, I have a video clapboard. Not because I fancy myself a filmmaker, but just because the clapper sound is how you can synchronize multiple video tracks. That is the control panel for my audio system, 5.1 audio system. Obviously I switched between having the audio out that way or having it just out of the headphone jacks, depending on what time of the night it is and whether or not I would disturb my neighbours too much. Got a CH joystick, CH Pro joystick there to be used for side stick, and again it's got this kind of little adapter mechanism on it. If I just retrieve these bolts they don't fall off, but you can pull this out until it's sort of roughly parallel with you, which is where you'd want it, and it just sits there, and then you can push it back in when you're not using it. Thus far I actually really haven't used that because I haven't flown any aircraft that need a side stick, but Airbus is coming. Over on this side, there is the switch panel. I've just left it in here at the moment because the USB is still connected, and this just slots into the appropriate hole in the main instrument panel. Behind there, you can see two USB hubs. Now, one thing that a home cockpit does is use an awful lot of USB, and I mean an awful lot of USB, and all the devices, or most of the devices, need full power, so you need a hub that can sustain all the devices at full power, and this is the best hub I found for that. It's by Anker, A-N-K-E-R. If I can find the link, I'll stick it in the description. I don't have a full amount of stuff plugged in. I found that if I plug it all into one hub, I do start to get some device failures, so maybe it really can't supply full power to absolutely everything, but split across two hubs, it's fine. I've actually got a third one in the box in case I ever need it. But the power supplies for those things are a bit hefty, and in fact wall warts and power supplies generally is one of the big themes for this maintenance. You can actually see the power situation on here if I run the camera underneath. So I've actually got a kind of a panel with two 8-way adapters on it, but there's quite a few more things. So down here there's another 4-way adapter, and you can see I've got some Wi-Fi controllable power sockets, so I can turn the power on and off out the wall using my phone, because actually getting inside here under normal circumstances is quite difficult. But I need to sort out the power situation, try and rationalise it, sort out the power distribution, and potentially put in a couple of other adapters to bring the power locally where I need it and avoid all the plethora of power cables that I have. But if I move this out of the way, for example, you can see we've got adapters, and some of them have actually been surfaced, but the idea was there's kind of a pocket under there where power bricks were supposed to go. It's just all got a bit messy, and all the cabling needs dealing with. You can maybe just about see the base unit for my audio system behind the whole arrangement there. That's where it lives. And oops, sorry, finger in the way of the sensor. And then there is my Thrustmaster pedals. Now normally the Thrustmaster pedals are attached to a board which the seat is attached to. I've just removed that board and the seating and everything else temporarily, so I've removed the pedals while I'm doing that. And just right back in the corner there, you might be able to see a little 4-port USB hub. So again, even though I've got multiple USB hubs, I find myself having to use other ones for different things. There's another one flying around which would be attached to that white cable, which just powers the Satec throttle quadrants that I use on top of my main throttle quadrant. Anyway, that's about it in terms of what's going on with the sim at the moment. I'm going to push on with this work. There won't be a great deal to see when I'm done, but things should be a lot tidier inside. The electronics should be a bit more nicely set up, and fingers crossed I'll have the sim back up and running later on today or early tomorrow, so I can get on with recording part 3 of my cross-country tour. Part 2 has been recorded and is currently in editing, but I thought you might appreciate seeing a video in the gap in the meantime. If you have any questions about any of this stuff, how it hangs together, how it works, please do leave them in the comments below. I'm very happy to answer any questions about the practicalities of building sims. My sim is pretty simple and straightforward actually compared to many, but there are a few lessons I've learned along the way, and if any of those could be helpful to you, then I'd be very glad to share them. Anyway, that's your lot. Thanks for watching as always, and I hope to see you back on the channel very soon.